Oh, now we get you. Hey, Rami.
Hey,
How are you?
how are you?
Good.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes, happy 4th of July.
Wait. Can you hear?
I can hear.
That is our background music. My fellow American. Okay, that's enough. How are you?
Good, thanks. Excited to talk about today's topic.
Yes, today we have a really cool topic, which is, of course, about credit cards. But now you will explain a little bit how it works. I mean, how the system works, right?
Yes, that's correct. I'm going to sort of give a bit of an idea of the key things to look out for, the key terms, give a
Mm-hmm.
practical example, and then how you can take this knowledge and this understanding and use it to your advantage.
Yes, perfect. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, so the first thing is just understanding the key terms that are used. Normally, when you receive a credit
Yes,
card statement,
right.
it'll have a lot of information on it. But these are the key
Yes,
terms here to know: opening balance, closing balance, minimum payment, statement period, and payment due date.
yeah,
So we're going to work with a hypothetical, and the hypothetical is you received a statement. You received your credit card statement here on the 1st of July.
yeah, yes,
That credit card statement covers all of your spending from the 1st of June to the 30th of June. So that's the sort of the hypothetical we're
okay.
working with.
Okay, before you start with all the whole information, I would like to explain a little bit, or maybe just saying just one sentence. This is something that if you are using credit cards in the United States,
Uh-huh.
I'm not quite sure if all the credit cards worldwide are working the same way. Probably yes, or similar. So if you are using a credit card and if you want to know how to use it in a better way, I mean, for your benefit,
Mm-hmm.
for your own benefit, let's say, not the benefit of the bank all the time. This is the way, this is the information that you need to know.
That's correct, yeah. And you're right, these are general rules, but they're principles that basically all credit cards work on. The principles
Yeah,
being you spend an amount of money, you have a certain amount of time to pay it back, and if you don't pay it back
yeah,
within the specified time, you get charged interest. That's basically how credit card works.
yeah.
So
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, so with our hypothetical of we received a statement here on the 1st of July, what you'll see
Yeah,
on that statement is you'll see an opening balance and a closing balance. And the opening balance
yeah,
is here at point one. Basically, it's saying, what was the balance of your credit card on the 1st of June? The closing
yeah,
balance is, what was the balance of your credit card on the 1st of July? So it's
right.
basically adding up all of the amounts that you spent during June.
Yeah,
Now, just going out of order a little bit, the statement period is this number 4 here. It's the period that this statement that you receive, the period it covers in terms of the spending.
yeah,
So all your
yes,
spending from here to here, that comes within your statement period.
yeah,
Now, the other numbers you'll notice there, you'll have a minimum payment. So
yes,
let's say we have a closing balance of, say, $2,000. Okay, here. Your minimum payment is normally some function of that, some percentage of that. And that depends on
mm-hmm.
which credit card company issued it. Normally it's
Got it.
something like 1%, 3%, 5%, depends. But let's say for our purposes, we'll say it's 2%. So
Mm-hmm.
2% of your closing balance is $40.
About
So your minimum
$40.
payment is $40.
Yeah,
And the payment due date is almost like it suggests the date that the payment is due. Now,
Right.
the payment due date will normally be a certain number of days after the statement date, the closing date. So it's usually here. That's when 3, your minimum payment is due, and 5, that's when the payment is due.
Yeah.
So what happens is you start here with 0 because your credit card has got a nil balance. Here it's got a $2,000 balance.
Yeah.
And here you have to make a minimum payment of $40.
Yeah.
So those are sort of the key things. Now your statement will include other information. It'll have fees charged, interests charged. Do you have any balance transfers? Are there any adjustments? Just for our purposes, we're going to keep it simple and just focus on these 5 bits of information.
Mm-hmm.
So a question I get asked a lot of the time is, well, not asked, but people say, oh, okay, so basically what I need to do is I pay $40 here and I'm good. Well, yeah, you're kind of good. $40 is the minimum payment. That means that's the minimum to ensure your credit card is not late or overdue.
Yes. Yes.
Paying $40 doesn't mean you get charged no interest. And that's a key difference. To make sure you get charged no interest on that $2,000, you must pay the closing balance on or before the payment due date here. That's a critical distinction. $40 will make sure that your account is not overdue. Paying $2,000 will make sure it's not overdue. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And you don't get charged any interest.
Yeah, you don't get the interest.
Yeah.
The interest.
So that's that's one key distinction. So now that we sort of understand broadly how this works, you roughly have 30 days from the opening balance to the closing balance.
Yes.
30 days. And normally there's, excuse me, roughly there's usually 25 days from when the statement comes out to when you need to pay it.
Okay.
And if you add those two numbers together, you get 55. And
55 days.
That's something you'll see whenever credit card companies are advertising. They'll say up to 55 days interest free. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, that 55 days is a maximum number because let's say you spend some money here on the 15th of June, then you're only getting 15 days there and 25 days there. You're only getting 40 days. So the 55 days is based on you spending on the very first day of that statement period and paying it on the very last day on which it's due. That's how your 55 days is calculated.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is once you understand broadly how this works, you can kind of think about, well, how do I use this to my advantage? How do I time my spending? Now, let's say you have some kind of expense that you can choose. It's discretionary when you pay it. You've got to pay it sometime during, May or June, for example. Ideally, what you would do is you would pay it here on the 1st.
Yes.
The statement comes out on the 1st of July, and it will say this spending needs to be paid by this date, and then you pay it on the last day. What does that mean? That means you've maximized the use of the credit card company's credit, and you haven't been penalized with interest. That is one of the best ways to use a credit card to your advantage. Knowing when the statement opens, knowing when it closes, and spending amounts just after a new statement period opens. So the other thing you can do is a lot of people say to me, well, I can't choose when I pay my utilities bill, for example. My utilities bill is due. Yeah. It's due on the 15th of June, and there's nothing I can do about that. It's due on the 15th of every month. Right. Most credit cards, what you can do is you can contact them and you can ask them for new dates. new opening dates,
Okay.
new closing dates, new payment dates. So you could contact them and you could say, look, I want my new opening date to be the 14th of each month.
Mm-hmm.
And once they approve that, then when you pay your utilities bill on the 15th, your new statement is opened on the 14th. Again, you're maximizing that 55 days. And this is kind of, what I imagine Life Streamliner is in every aspect. It shows you the rules and it tells you how can you use this to your advantage. Now, if you can't move the spending for your utilities bill, then what you do is you look at the due date and see if you can move that, because those are the only two variables, the due date and the date on which you spend money, basically.
Yes.
The other thing you can do is you could go and get a new credit card, and you can keep the original credit card, which runs from the 1st to the 30th of the month. And the new credit card you could have from the 15th to the 15th of each month.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you've got two different opening dates, and you can spend on these cards depending on what day of the month you make the spending. Everything from the 1st to the 15th, you would spend on the first card. Everything from the 15th to the 30th, you'd spend on the second card.
Okay.
So
you need to keep the records. I mean, a spreadsheet or something, right?
Yeah. First you need to know how it works, and that's basically what we've talked about to now. And then you need to have, as you said, an accurate record. Now, I personally have a spreadsheet, and it has a number of columns. One column is the name of the card. Then it's got all this information: what date it opens, what date it closes, what the minimum payment is for this month, and when it's due, and how much I've paid, etc. And that way, if I need to spend a large amount of money, I can just look at my spreadsheet, look at the closing balance column, work out exactly when my balance closes, and spend on the card that's just closed or just opened, essentially.
Okay.
The closing balance column.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, now you were talking about how to get benefits from this. So how to use the system. Let's say in a proper way. It's not, because at the end it's not enough just saying, no, if you don't use it in this way, it's a bad thing. No, what you are trying to explain to the people is just that it is possible to improve the way that you use the credit card system, right? So that's the main point. The thing is, okay, let's say I'm a normal user of a credit card, right? Regular client. Let's say that I have only one card for the moment. Which are the steps that you recommend to follow in order to understand this? Because usually you need, a few days. Let's say you will need about 21 days minimum or a month, checking all the time, just getting the idea how the system is working. And let's say that, assuming that how you need to manage all this information daily, because at the end, the credit card, it's normal that people are using the credit cards daily, usually, sometimes. Most of them, right? Maybe one day you don't use it because you can use a debit card. But let's say that you use a credit card every day, every 2 days, whatever. So this is something that you need to keep in mind all the time. I mean, the whole month. But it's not automatic at the beginning.
That's correct.
Which are the steps which are the steps that you recommend to follow, to start understanding this and then applying this for you?
Yeah, no, and it's a good question. This is like anything, right? The first time you do it is always going to take a little bit longer because it's all new. But once you've got it, it's almost automatic. And you won't even sort of pay attention to it. But I think the first step is pulling out one of your credit card statements, ideally the most recent one, and just looking for these things. Just look for them so that you understand next time you receive a credit card statement by email or in physical mail, when you open it, you see, oh, okay, make sure that all these things are on there, make sure that you know what they are and what they mean. Excuse me. So once you kind of understand that, you might buy a coffee every day and the coffee might be $5. Now you don't need to pay too much attention about which card you put your coffee on, but what you could do is you could just say, from the 1st to the 15th of each month, I use credit card A. And from the 15th to the 30th of each month, I use credit card B. Now, getting that maximum 55 days, that's just one thing that you might think is important. Like to some people, having the most number of days between spending and paying it back is important. To some other people, you might get some kind of cash rewards or some kind of points. Now, for those cards, let's say you get points for using your credit card to get gas in your car. And let's say you get gas over here after the 15th. If the first card gives you gas benefits, you may be like, oh, look, I don't care so much about 55 days. Even if I spend over here on that credit card, that's fine. I'll only get 20 days. But I would rather have the 3%, 4%, whatever it is you get back on cash, on gas. So
the thing is, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so the thing to think about is, what is it that's most important to you? Because there's no right or wrong answer here. If cash rewards are more important, if simplicity is important, if having the most number of days is important. Some people are like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to think about having more than one credit card. That's great. Then all you need to do is just remember to pay your closing balance on or before the payment due date in full. Then you're good.
So at the end is like, for some people could be useful, to buy some time. For other people to save some money, or both things. And at the end, it's just learning how to manage these funds, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, learning this is just like, learning any other system of anything. And so what I've kind of tried to do is just given just a couple of key points to take away from this. And if you remember nothing else, just remember these things. Remember the difference between minimum payment versus closing balance. Remember we said minimum payment means you don't get charged a late payment fee, but it doesn't mean you don't get charged interest. To make sure you don't get charged interest, you must pay the closing balance.
And exactly. That's something that that I wanted to remind to the people, that you repeat many times that it's really important, if it's possible, of course, sometimes not possible, to pay the full amount, right? That you of your debt at the end of the, before the due date, right?
That's exactly right. And like you said, in some situations, if for some reason you can't, ideally what you do is you would pay as much as possible, right? So that you're going to get charged interest, you're going to get charged interest on a smaller amount.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So the other thing we sort of mentioned was the timing of spending. If you can, alter when you spend an amount of money, if you have choice as to when you pay something, you can do it in line with your credit card payment dates, et cetera, to get the most benefit. And the ways you can sort of use the credit card to your advantage, you can move your spending around like we set up here, pull it forward or push it back. You can contact the bank and ask for new payment dates, or alternatively, you could apply for a new credit card that has new payment dates.
Yes, that's another good point. The people need to understand that the entities, a bank or credit card company, whatever, they want to get the money back. That's the most important for them, right? So they want the money back. So if you propose, if you don't talk to them, you will never know if they have another solution or another option, right? To give to you like another payment date, blah, 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 right? So you need to talk to them.
Yeah, definitely ask questions, but I would probably even add something to what you said. Yeah, the credit card companies, they do want their money back, but in a way they don't, because the longer you take to pay
Yeah,
back, the more money they make
you're
from
right.
interest.
Yes, yes. But at the end, the thing that they doesn't want to, have is a debt. I mean,
That's right.
never pay.
Yeah, they want you to have debt, but they want you to keep paying them usually the minimum payment.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
why,
exactly.
like, statements, credit card statements, they're not always very clear. These terms are sometimes they're called something different, right? They might be like payment date, or it might be called something else. It might not be called statement period. It'll be called opening and closing period. And don't be confused. These are terms and these are principles. They can be called different things, but you will always see these things on your statement. There's probably just one other thing that I'll mention before we leave. Paying your closing balance in full each month, 9 times out of 10, that's going to guarantee that you don't get charged any interest. There is that one out of 10 exception. That exception is this. Let's say hypothetically, sometime between the 1st of May and the 1st of June, you spent $200.
Okay.
And when it was time to make the payment over here, June, like that, for that period, you make a payment here. Let's say you only paid $100. So what happens is when you get here, there's going to be $100 that you didn't pay from this period. And there's going to be whatever you spent from here to here. So there's going to be something like, let's say you spent $2,000. So it's going to be $2,100 in total. Now, over here, even if you pay that $2,100 here, you'll still get hit with some interest. And that interest represents interest on this $100 between this date and when you actually make your payment. That's the only exception. The exception being if you're, what I would say is carrying a balance. If you're carrying a balance and you don't start from zero, then even paying your closing balance in full won't guarantee that you won't have any interest.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so what we will do is just to, I think we will make a post about this and we will publish some information, about this information. And so the people can see it. And then if they have questions, they can send it to you, the question to me, and direct message, whatever, using any of the social media platforms. And because I think, it's pretty useful. Honestly, it's quite useful for the people.
Yeah, that's right. And it doesn't have to be, people think about credit cards and, that shit's boring, It doesn't have to be exciting or boring. It just has to be practical. And it doesn't have to be complicated either. So what I would challenge people to do is don't take my word for it. Pull out your credit card statement, have a look at these things, test the theories for yourself, change your time, change when you spend an amount of money, contact your bank, ask them for new dates, see how it works, prove it to yourself.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Great. I mean, I think it was a great information. It is great information. I mean, for today, it's more than enough for the people. Anyway, this information will be, the video will be available on Instagram and also on YouTube next week. So you can, if you are watching now or later, it doesn't matter. You can, if you can't, watch now, and you are hearing this probably tomorrow, all the information will be there. Any questions
that we're going to make as well?
Yeah, exactly. Any questions, just send to us through the direct messages. And any other advice to finalize?
Any other advice? I would say, just to start off.
You can show yourself, by the way.
To start off with, focus on the simple things, these basic things. But, there's always complexities that you can add. some people are not interested in knowing that. So I try to keep things, that's going to apply to the widest audience, but there are things you can do, like balance transfers. Balance transfer is if you owe a balance to one credit card company and you have another card that has no balance, you can ask the no balance card company to go and pay off the balance on the other one. And then you owe it to the new bank, and it'll usually be at a lower interest rate or zero. So there's ways of kind of using that system to your advantage as well. And people don't often realize, balance transfer, what it is and what it's good for. There's also pitfalls with that, but maybe that's something we can talk about it during another session, like credit card, advanced credit card stuff.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
I think we'll be everything for today. You can say goodbye, show us your face.
Say goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone, and happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day in the United States of America. So, until the next week, we wish you a very, very great week. And listen, again, this is just to say goodbye. God bless America. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Rami. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.